This is Lauren Greci, and you're listening to the Go and Tell podcast. Hey friends, and welcome to the Go and Tell podcast. I'm your host, Lauren Greci, and I am so thrilled to have my next guest, Christen Patin. Christen, take a moment and introduce yourself to all of the listeners and viewers.
Well, good morning. I'm so excited we could finally do this.
It's been a work in progress.
We've rescheduled, like we've just given each other so much grace through all this. So I think that we should highlight that part at the very beginning. Grace is needed.
Yes, especially in motherhood, you have to have flexibility and grace.
Yes. So my name is Christen Patin. I had to say my name again because it's like everyone says Patton or Patin or like something really weird. I struggle pronouncing my own last name, but that's what you
So
get.
say it again, because I said Patin, but maybe it's just my Texas accent.
Patin.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like I married a Cajun man. I don't really get their whole like Cajun French lingo. I just roll with it. I don't know what I'm doing. I just kind of hope for the best.
Well, and you went from Smith.
I went from the most basic name like in the history of like ever having a last name to like something that like even when my husband says it, like he pronounces it so much better than I do. But I'm just trying to do the best I can.
I love it.
So
Absolutely.
my name is Christen Patin. I married a Cajun man. Let's see. I am a girl mom of 2. Let's see. I've been married.
How old are they now?
They are 6 and 4. My husband and I have been married for 12 years now. We got married really, really young. So been married for a very long time now.
Yeah.
Let's see. What else can I say about myself? Why is this like the hardest question ever?
It is. It reminds me of like whenever you go to like MOPS events, do y'all have like mothers of preschoolers or any kind of group events like that? And you're sitting at a table and they're like, okay, like you've got 3 minutes, go around and introduce yourself. And it's always like, I'm Lauren. I have 2 kids.
Like the Ricky Bobby moment where you're like, I don't know what to do with my hands.
Yeah. Like just kind of go here.
Yeah, like put your hair in front of your face, like I'm nobody. Go on.
I know, and it seems like too, like when we're stay-at-home moms, it's like our whole, like the other day I was asked that question and I literally said, I'm Lauren and I'm a mom of 2 boys. And that's all I got. And I totally forgot to mention my husband and that we had been married and like where we lived and all of that. But yeah.
Right. Like, hi, I'm Christen. I forgot to brush my teeth this morning and I've got 17 loads of laundry to do. Nice to meet you.
Yes. I love it. Yeah.
That's absolutely
who I am. Yeah. Did you see? Oh my gosh. We spent after this. Well, you just had VBS as well.
Yes, we did. I volunteered at my sister-in-law's church, like 3 hours away. And that was fun. But we volunteered for the dance part of it. So that was really fun because I was learning the dances with the kids at the same time. But it was good. Yeah. We just did the VBS thing. It was great.
That's so fun. Now, did you stay at her house then since it was 3 hours away?
I did. Yeah. Okay. I went to their house from Sunday through Friday. And then I ended up taking one of her kids home with me until just 2 days ago on Monday. So we have been like rocking and rolling for over a week. And like now we're finally getting to kind of stay home and like relax and rest and stuff, which I am just indulging in because I don't know, it's like just not being at your house and, going out places. Like it's a lot sometimes.
Yes. Yeah. I feel that I'm kind of like the extrovert who loves to be at home. It's like, I love just staying in my space sometimes. And you just need home days where you're not out running errands and doing everything.
Yeah. I can be introverted or extroverted. It just depends on like how comfortable or uncomfortable I am. And I feel like, I have potential to be like very social, but I think 2020 like kind of knocked me back a few steps. I realized just how antisocial I've become. And like we just did Allie's kindergarten graduation and like all these kids that she's talked about for 2 years now, like their parents are right there in front of me and I could barely even say hi. And like Allie's like, I want play dates. And I'm like, great, I have to find these people. and like figure out how to say hi, and like my kid knows your kid, you want to play.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it just depends. Like I have potential to be incredibly extroverted, but you know, I can be heavily introverted too. I love being home. It's my favorite place to be. I don't have to wear pants here.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah. No, I get it. I totally get it. So speaking of 2020, how was 2020 for you?
So in the beginning, it was hard. Like on the third day, and this may sound like a lot to the listeners, but like my dog got run over, and it was very heavy. I'm so grateful that both of my kids were at school that day. One of them was actually at school. One of them was at a Mother's Day Out program that she only goes to twice a week. So if there was anything good out of that, it's that they weren't there to see me find her and find her in the condition that she was in. So like just day 3, 2020 was like, yo, hitting you with a hammer. Like a week later, I ended up in the emergency room, and like, I don't know, like every single week there was something. And I kept telling all of my friends, like, I'm legitimately about to have a mental emotional breakdown. Like this is hard, and everyone's like, it's okay, you've got this, you've got the mindset, you're going to be fine, da, 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 da. And of course at that point, like the world hadn't fallen apart yet, but literally from the very first week of January until school let out on March 13th, there was something every week. And I felt so tested. I felt like my faith was incredibly fragile. I felt horrible. I felt absolutely horrible. And I'll be honest, like once school let out, doing the at-home thing and the Zoom classes, pre-K, like who teaches their kid via Zoom in pre-K? Hello, we had to do it. I don't know how I did it, but we did it. And that was a learning curve for me. That was
Homeschooling a preschooler that's hard.
That was interesting. And I mean, look, I'm grateful that it was just pre-K because I was totally unprepared, and I feel like everyone's mental health definitely struggled last year. I went through some health things last year that kind of led off of like that emergency room visit that I had talked about a minute ago. And I really had to get down to the bottom of it. And, after months and months of testing and blood work and multiple doctors and this and that, I learned that I had debilitating anxiety, like chronic anxiety. And I knew that I had anxiety. I know that I've dealt with depression in the past, but I thought like I had it under control because it was affecting me physically.
I noticed in the midst of just like everything going on in 2020, like I was just not well, and like bouncing off of my emergency room visit, there was a lot going on like health wise for me. And so I'd seen multiple doctors, done multiple tests, multiple blood works, like all the things. And I learned, I think in like June of 2020, that I had chronic anxiety, which I knew I had anxiety. I've dealt with depression and I've dealt with anxiety off and on like my entire life. So I wasn't exactly surprised, but the same to feel like the news of learning that was really what was going on with me was harder to digest than what was actually going on with me in general. And I was like, I have to get control of this. I've got to get on top of it. I've got to figure out a way to get through this because I can't keep doing what I'm doing and expecting something different. So I did start somewhat of like a health journey starting at the beginning of July, and I've been working on my weight. I've been working out. I've been eating better. I started taking anxiety medication, which I feel like a lot of us, we can look at that as like, a form of failure that we're having to turn to medicine to get better. But it's not, when you're not well and your body is just not producing the things that it's supposed to live every day, you got to try something. You know what I mean? And I did start seeing a therapist, which was really good for me. Being able to just talk about things. I'm really good about journaling, but something about paying somebody to listen to you that just there's something hits a little different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
um so I, I mean, I guess I 2020 made me strong so that 21 could be happier.
I like that.
So I feel like I was able to learn a lot in the thick of it, and now I'm on top of it and I feel really good about it.
So obviously I mean, you could probably see God working in your life too. How was because you mentioned your faith was pretty tested there at the beginning. How are you doing now in your faith walk?
I'm doing really good. We were never like heavy like churchgoers. For the longest time, we didn't have a church that we felt like we belonged to. And then probably in 2014, we started going to a church pretty regularly. My husband was a fireman, and I know this is going to sound super lazy of me, but on his Sundays that he was scheduled to go to the station, I didn't really go to church by myself. And then once we started having kids, I definitely didn't go by myself because it was just a lot on me to get ready and get out of here and places on time. I wish that I probably would have approached things differently in that aspect, but I want to do better now. But 2020 happened, and like, look, church just wasn't open, but we tried to watch church virtually as much as possible. And something that I did do differently last year was I downloaded the Bible app and I started doing daily devotionals every morning. And that's something that I still do. Matter of fact, something that I recently have started doing is I have my highlighters in my Bible on my nightstand, and I'm trying to go back through all of the Bible studies that I've done and all the Bible verses that I've highlighted in my app. I'm trying to go back through my physical Bible and highlight them because I don't know, something about like decorated Bibles and like everything that you've ever read being highlighted, and like I don't know, I think that is just so beautiful to me. I love to go. I want to go back. I don't want the app to go away one day and like I have no idea what I've ever read and observed and learned something from. I want to go back to my physical Bible and be able to say like I read this meant something to me. It's highlighted here. I can revisit this. So I don't know. Like I said, I felt like my faith was really fragile at the beginning of last year, and I felt like we all go through fragility at some points, and so I feel like things are good now. I've been closer to God in the last year than I have been in probably my whole entire life, and I don't know. I feel it. I feel so much peace. Whenever things happen, it just goes to God. I feel like even with my anxiety, I'm guilty of just worrying about things and replaying scenarios, conversations, all of those things. But I feel like now whenever things come up, I'm just like, God's got it. I'm not worried about it. I can't carry all that around anymore. It's way too heavy.
Yeah. Absolutely. That was one of my biggest struggles was, well, one, having kids, it really intensified, like constantly worried about what was going to happen or, like a sickness, or I could just see harm when it never happened. It was like all these scenarios that I could just envision and see. And the Bible verse that kept coming to my mind was, don't worry about tomorrow and don't worry about these things that God has promised to provide to you. Like, just worry about today because tomorrow will bring its own troubles, right? And so that was where my perspective really changed was I can't prevent them from getting sick. If God intends them to get sick, it's going to happen. I can't prevent a car accident. I can't prevent any of that stuff. So I just have to do what I can today and trust God. And if something is going to happen, then God is going to carry us through it. And if his choice is that one of us gets, really, really sick and we die, then that's what happens. But I can't control that. So I just have to let it go. That was the biggest revelation for me, was just giving it to God. And that has helped so much. That just takes that weight off your shoulder.
Yeah. And I think something else that has helped me a lot too is looking at a lot of the things that I have gone through in my life and in my past, and even, as of recent and just in my current situations in life right now. It's like I'm always looking for, well, this is the name of my blog that I'm not exactly active on anymore, but the beauty in between or the lesson in it. And I feel like for me, I have always looked at things like I can keep letting things ruin me or I can let them reinvent me. And so it's like, I don't know about you, but whenever I get caught in whatever I'm going through, it's like with my anxiety especially, I will literally get caught in a vicious cycle of just like you said, worrying or, replaying the scenario over and over in my head. How could I have said or done things differently? Should I be doing more? Should I be doing less? What else could I be doing? And it's like, I can't let things eat me up like that anymore. I have to let things happen the way that they're supposed to because God is in control of it. And I've literally got to learn whatever I'm supposed to learn from it. And I'm supposed to move forward so that whatever something, happens next, like I'm a stronger person because of it. And I've handled it differently. I can handle it differently because of it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, kind of to shift gears for a second, because we never really talked about how you and your husband met. Let's kind of go back and go down that road. How did you two meet?
We met in 2006. We both had just graduated high school, like earlier in the year. So backstory, and I'll keep it brief. My grandfather lived in South Louisiana and had a business down here. And in the summer of '05, he passed away. My mom moved it down to South Louisiana to run his business for him just because it was the family business. She thought that, it would make him proud. And then whenever I graduated high school, I moved to Ruston with my brother to try to do the whole college thing, but we're not going to talk about that. And then, so that didn't exactly work out, but, I talked to my mom about, moving down to South Louisiana and going to cosmetology school. And, I really kind of felt like a failure because I just couldn't make college work for me. And, she said to me, she was like, your hairstylist that you've had for, your whole entire life, do you think she's a failure? And I was like, well, no, like she's great at what she does. And she's like, okay, so why can't you be good at doing hair or makeup? Why would you have to be a failure if you're just not good at one specific thing? You're really good at this other thing. So I was like, all right, cool. So I moved to South Louisiana. And my husband's dad's girlfriend worked for my mom. And at the time, like we didn't even know each other, but my husband had actually gone to the business and he saw a picture of me and he was like, who is this? Oh. And she was like, oh, that's my boss's daughter. And he was like, well, I want to meet her. And she's like, don't you dare like mess up my job for me. And he's like, I'm not. So anyway, like once I had officially kind of decided to move down here, that was kind of whenever we were introduced to each other. And when first time that I saw him, like it was the sweetest thing because he like turned his knee in, he'd like put his head down when he said hi. And like, it was just so, it was cute. But when I met him, I knew I was going to marry him. There was no question about it. And we dated. We got engaged in 2008. We got married in '09. So it was very quick, but like I knew, he knew, and it was good.
That is so sweet. And I want to like talk for a second about how amazing your mom is for what she said, like to guide you in the right direction. Because I think sometimes, not all, but a lot of parents may be in that mindset that college is the only direction and that's the only way that you're going to, do anything. And so, but there's so many schools that are specific to a certain task or a field that, just props to your mom for saying what she did and gave you the courage to go chase your dream,
Yeah. I often run back to that because I felt really good after that conversation, because I felt like I was already failing and she made me feel better. So kudos to her for not making me feel worse about something that I already felt terrible about.
Yeah. So you went to Ruston, and that's where my husband met your brother. Jeff, and that's how obviously we have all kind of met,
Yes.
was through that whole situation. They're actually coming in a couple of weeks, and I'm so excited to see them.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good time. We're gonna take
Yeah.
them out on the boat and take Kaden out, and it's just gonna be it's gonna be so fun.
Y'all are gonna have so much fun.
I
Yes.
know. I can't wait to see them. So, do you want to talk for a second about high school? Because I want to say that I read before in some of your posts, because you are very open, which I love that you are very open with your story, and you share your struggles and you share your trials and tribulations and how you have grown from those. And I think it's a big encouragement to a lot of teens, a lot of moms who could be going through similar situations. And you have a lot of life experience. You've had a lot of stuff kind of thrown your way. So what was high school like for you, and going out of that and then going into college and then cosmetology school?
High school was terrible. I was a cheerleader and it was hard trying to fit in, whether it's a big school or a small school. I feel like it's hard being a teenager when you don't know who you are or who you even want to be, and you're being pressured into everything. I feel like, it sucked 15 years ago. I can only imagine how much more hard it is for kids these days, especially with social media and just the internet being what it is today. Like, I don't even know. So I was a cheerleader in high school, and that was something that I always used to joke about whenever I was younger, is that I wanted to be a cheerleader when I grew up. And, unless I was like a pro cheerleader, like that just wasn't going to happen. But I still say that. My daughters ask me, Mom, what did you want to be when you grew up? And like, that's what I tell them. I wanted to be a cheerleader. And going from everything that I went through in high school to college to getting married to losing my mom to somehow or another surviving my marriage to what it is today to growing into the person that I am. I don't know if you can hear it in my voice, but it's hard. Sorry, I'll get it together in a minute.
No, it's okay. Don't apologize. It is hard.
It's hard. I feel like that is still the number one thing that I am good at, is just cheering people on. The number one thing that like stands out to me is that I just want to be a light for people, because I've been through a lot and I still come out on top, and I want people to see that it's possible to come out on the other side of it. There's always a way through it. The lessons are hard, and you may not always figure out what the whole point of the lesson was. And I don't want you to get fixated on figuring all of that out, but there's a way through it, and you will feel better. Even if you get emotional telling your story.
Yeah.
It means you felt something,
Absolutely. One of the last conversations I had that posted was from a girl who has 6 stages of grief, and she was very wise with her words of, we may not figure it out on this side of the kingdom, and it may not be for us to figure it out on this side. And that was huge for me. I feel like, because I'm very much want control, and I want to know why a lot of times. And I have to tell myself that sometimes we just don't need that answer. And there's a reason that we're not getting that answer. And it's okay. We don't need to always know why. And you'll still get through it,
Absolutely. I feel like that's one of the things that hurts us the most, just being human. I don't think it's, singled out to anyone in particular. We always want to know the why behind everything so that we can, just have an answer. We get so fixated on needing an answer, and sometimes there really isn't one. So, you kind of have to figure out a place to rest in not knowing those answers, but figuring out a way to survive not having it, and work and just getting on the other side of it. Like you said, maybe you don't have an answer in this kingdom, but it's going to work itself out. You'll have your answer one day, but you can't forget to live in between those two kingdoms, you know?
Right. Absolutely. So do you mind me asking and talking about your mom for a minute?
Might get emotional again, but no, I don't mind.
Okay. So how old were you when she passed?
I had just turned 21
Okay.
when she died. So 2009 was one of the best and worst years of my entire life. I got married in May of 2009 and discovered that she was sick in August of 2009, and within just a few weeks into September she had passed away.
Oh, wow.
So I literally had just a few months of, just being in like this newlywed bliss. And then, like I said, bless my husband, because I don't know how he stayed with me, because I hit rock bottom and I hit really hard.
Hmm. What did that
Um,
what did that look like for you, hitting rock bottom?
well, going back, I did go to a Beta Institute and I did get my cosmetology degree there. That was prior to me getting married, but they had asked me to come back and teach. I guess I was just, I'm not going to toot my own horn, but I guess I did well enough in school that they asked me to come back and teach. And that was something that my parents were so proud of me over. My mom, oh my gosh, like it didn't matter if we met a stranger at the checkout at Walmart. Like, she wanted everyone to know how proud she was of me. And so after she passed away, I think I took like 2 weeks off, and then I went back to work. And I was the kind of depressed where I could feel physical pain, not only in my chest, but in every bone in my body. My hair hurt, my eyes hurt, my face hurt, my legs hurt, my stomach hurt. I wasn't sleeping at night. All I ever did was cry. Everything was just dark. Even looking back now, there's some stories, from friends whenever we would go places or do things or whatever like that. I just don't have a lot of memory there. And I think that there's a thing for that. Like, whenever you're just in that state of depression, like, not that you go like, senile on people, but like, you just don't log a lot of information. And I definitely didn't log a whole lot. I'm not saying I don't remember anything, but I just don't remember a whole lot. I just remember everything being dark and cold and sad. And my husband, he struggled with me because, I was this like excited, happy person 99.9% of the time. And, like I said, literally went from like frolicking around and like newlywed bliss to I just jumped off the whole cliff. And there was plenty of times that he threw around the divorce word with me, and I didn't blame him, but I didn't have it in me to fight with him, because I was like, I'm not even the same person anymore, and I don't know if I ever will be. And, in a sense, I feel like I've gained a lot of my old self back, but in a better way. I'm a better person, I changed.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that, you can, when you're in that depressed and you're in that bad of a place, like, you don't just get to go back to who you were. You're different. You grow into someone else who has, they know pain, and, you develop a whole new sense of sympathy for people who experience pain. And, for me personally, whenever I deal with people who deal with pain, like, I just don't want people to hurt. And so that's something that I've had to learn, but I will literally continuously bury myself so that I can help other people not experience the things that I feel. And by the way, that doesn't help anyone or anything. So don't do that. So yeah, there's a lot of beauty to be had in helping others, especially whenever it makes you feel good, but don't ever lose yourself in like trying to keep others from experiencing life at the rate that you did, because you can't save people from things like that. You can help them, but you can't bury yourself for the sake of, the mercy of other people.
Right. And you and I have a very similar personality too, that we wear it. And so then what they're going through, then I feel like I'm going through it too. I don't know if you feel the same way, but something that I found interesting was how you said that you're like a big cheerleader for everybody else. And then when you mentioned your mom telling everyone about you and how successful you were, like she was the biggest cheerleader for you. And then now you are like a big cheerleader for other people. So
yeah,
that's pretty neat. Do you feel that that was like a big turning point in your life where God intervened for you right after her passing and kind of getting back up? And or was there another event in your life that you felt God really intervened?
Honestly, I'm not going to say I turned my back on God or I felt like God turned his back on me, but I just, like I said, everything was just dark and cold. And like, I still prayed, and I was going to therapy. I was still going to work, which a year after she passed away, that turned into me leaving my job. My therapist told me that I had to really start doing some deep healing, and my job was actually making it very hard on me to do those things. It was only piling on problems for me. It wasn't like I could go to work and like step out of what I was going through. It was just turmoil every way that I went. So I ended up leaving my job, and I I kind of became like a stay-at-home wife, which not a lot of people agreed with, but my husband really supported me in it because he knew what I was going through. And fortunately, with the work that he was doing at the fire department plus his part-time job, we were able to cover our bills and do the things that we had to do. So I'm grateful that, I was able to step into that role of being a stay-at-home wife, which sounds so silly, but gotta do what you gotta do. Like I said, I never really felt like I turned my back on God or God turned my back on me. I just didn't understand what I was going through or why I was going through it. And, like I said, my faith was very fragile because I just didn't understand. I didn't understand like why God would allow something like this to happen to me. And, I still question that because I don't know why, the magic why. But I feel like the only answer that I can come to is that, God would never want to intentionally do something to destroy me. I feel like we often forget that there's an enemy out there who literally creeps around every single corner, who wants to do nothing but destroy us and hurt us in every way that he possibly can. And I feel like this is a moment in which he won. The devil won. And, I just feel like the way that God is there to support me through it is to do with what he's doing with me now. Do what he's doing with me now. Yeah. And that is to find a way to be a light and to show people that you can come out on top on the other side of it. I'm not saying that there's not hard days involved or, it's not okay to cry or any of those things. It's okay to feel everything, but, just don't get lost in feeling like there is no hope, because there is. And that, I really got big into Rachel Hollis there for a minute, which not so much anymore, but I liked what she first came out with. You have to make decisions for yourself and you have to pursue those. And I feel like that's something that I still allow to fuel me because, you can pray for a lot of things, but how many times are we guilty of like banishing our blessings? We pray for things, but we push them off because, we're not ready for them or, they're overwhelming. But I feel like at some point too, you have to look at it in a personal sense where you're like, I have to own this. I'm ready for this. I'm ready to step into this. I'm ready to accept this challenge that I'm being faced with because it's going to be a good thing. You have to have somewhat of a mental capacity or a daring tidbit in your heart where you're willing to step into that next space in your life. And so I feel like that's kind of where my pivotal moment was being able to say, well, I have to be willing to do this. I'm praying for these things, but you can't just pray for them and not accept them. You have to be willing to accept them and step into them.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And trusting, God through it all. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, that is huge, is knowing that, he's a good father, and he only wants the good and the best for us, and he's going to carry us and provide these things. And sometimes he doesn't answer our prayers because he knows what's best for us. And then when he does answer those prayers, we need to be, one, in the word, so we hear him and know that he's answering the prayers and that it aligns with who he is and what he says is true. But then acting on it and doing it, is pivotal.
Exactly. Acting on it is so pivotal. You have to be willing to step into it for sure.
Hey friends, would you do me a favor? Would you subscribe to the show by clicking that subscribe button wherever you're listening? It makes a huge difference for the Go and Tell podcast community. I would also love for you to share this show with a friend. I know some of you found this show because a friend recommended it to you, so thank you for listening and being here, for subscribing and sharing and showing all your love and support. Thank you. Music was created for the show by Matt Bowen, and I'm your host, Lauren Greci. Now let's rejoin the conversation. So what about now? What do you feel that God is doing for you now?
Wow. I don't think anyone's asked me that right now. So through all of the years of just being like so down and depressed and having kids and breastfeeding and being sick and breastfeeding some more, I've gained a decent bit of weight through all of that. And so that was part of, me taking control of my health, last year and even now. I'm just stepping into a whole new version of myself that I knew was always there, but I've always just been too lazy and unwilling before to accept any of this. And you know what? Maybe it wasn't necessarily me accepting, stepping into this version of myself. It's always a season too. So, sometimes, we want something bad enough, and God always says, wait, you kind of have to sit back and say, okay, surprise me, God, whatever you have for me, present me with that. And then you have to be able to step into that whenever it's ready. And like I feel like I'm ready in that sense, so I'm stepping into a healthier and happier version of myself that I've really put on the back burner for so long. My husband did leave the fire department last year, so that was a new role that we've stepped into as a family. He isn't at the fire department. He's, we're available to go on Sundays now. He's home every night, which is a big deal for me. We want to add hopefully just a caboose to the family. And, so that's another part of me trying to, lose weight and just get in better physical and mental health. So hopefully have another baby again one day. And, that's only possible because my husband is home. If he was still at the fire station, I don't think I could do it, where he's gone like half of the month, day and night, and do it all by myself. Cause that's the hard part of it too. It's like, my mom is, deceased, and both of my husband's parents, they're both deceased too. So me and my husband, we really rely on each other for a lot of things. And, so him not being at the fire department anymore really opens up a lot of things that I genuinely don't think were possible before. But I feel like God is just showing up in ways that I have always dreamt about before. Opening doors and opening up relationships with people that I didn't know I needed, and closing doors and closing out chapters that, I've prayed about for a long time. And, I just don't, I'm happy about the blessings that are coming about. I'm happy about the fact that I can be obedient in those blessings because, again, you have to be ready and willing to step into and accept those things. And I feel like this is just one of those exhale moments when I just feel relief and peace, and things are just finally feeling calm and good,
That is awesome. Well, I want to end it on that note because I think that was beautiful wrap up. I so want to share so much more of your story. So we might have to do this again and have like a part
We can
2.
come back. Yeah.
So 3 questions that I ask every guest at the end is, what are you reading? What are you loving? And what is making you laugh? So what are you reading right now?
What am I reading right now? So I have 2 books in my beach bag that I was working on reading that I'm still not done with, but one of them is, I think it's called How to Raise, oh my gosh, hold on. Let me find the book because it's a long title. It's Raising Grateful Kids in an Entitled World.
Oh, that sounds good.
That one's a really good one. And it's got a Christian author. So she's got a good background, I feel like. And we relate in a lot of the senses of like how we were both raised and how we kind of want our children raised in more of a simple aspect. So I'm reading that. What was the next question?
What are you loving and what is making you laugh?
What am I loving and what is making me laugh? I am loving the fact that Allie has new friends with like being in school, and like the fact that we were able to even complete kindergarten with no virtual anything. She's like wanting to hang out with her friends, and like that's in turn making me new friends too. So I feel like it's just kind of broadening, our group of people.
Yeah.
So I am loving that. What makes me laugh? I'm trying to think. I don't know. I don't know if I have an answer for that one, to be honest.
Well, Christen, I have loved this conversation with you, and I definitely want to pick this up and do it again another time. But thank you for taking time out of your day to chat with me.
For sure. Thank you so much for having me. And I'm totally down for coming back if you want me, or if your listeners want me.
For sure. Well, thank you, Christen. Thank you for listening to the Go and Tell podcast with Lauren Greci. If you liked what you heard today, please subscribe, comment, leave a review, and share with your friends. Music was created for the show by Matt Bowen, and I'm your host, Lauren Greci. I'll be back here next week with another great conversation. Thanks for listening today, friends.